Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jay and John and Lucas. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey. How's it going?
You guys ready for LVO?
Oh, I am so ready.
Ready to go. Just a few more models to paint, even though it's only days away.
I'm ready to live vicariously through you guys as I watch it on stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. The last 2 weeks, I saw people were dropping out and looking to get rid of their tickets. A couple people, and so I was seriously looking at flights, going, "Hey, Rachel, you want to go to Vegas for a couple of days? You're gonna be by yourself, but I mean, I don't know if you want to go." And then we decided not to. But yeah, it was close. I almost pulled the trigger on it. So. Yeah. I'm jealous of you guys for sure.
Only 97 people signed up on TTO right now out of the 128.
That's still that's the best turnout
Still the
since
biggest
the start of the
thing in
pandemic,
ages.
I think, right?
Yeah. 2 years ago, LVO, what were those numbers?
It was
'Cause
close.
that was the biggest
Similar.
one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was close. Yeah, I mean, I think pandemic or not, I think 128's tough. When there's nothing really heavy on the line. World Invites is a okay thing, but I don't know, you could get those at your local store as well. So what else? What's the big draw to pull in? I think the only time we'll see that is in
Pride.
Worlds. Yeah, maybe. Pride doesn't pay the bills though, so it's hard to.
None of these tournaments pay the bills.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not an objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think now is a great time, but maybe at some point we could talk about what we think is the max number. What's a good number you could have at a tournament that you could reasonably fill? I think it's 64.
I've done those numbers, I've done mechanically the numbers, but
Yeah, I think 64 for just a random convention tournament.
Yeah.
Seems
Even with
reasonable.
all the AMG junk on the line, right? Back in the old days when it was FFG, the big dice and the fun cards and the tokens, we still weren't getting 128. It's just not something that's, I think it's a lot.
Yeah, I think we could definitely get past 100 if the pandemic wasn't doing what it was now. I know quite a few people personally who are 100% in, and then because of either they're not from this country or nervous about flights, or with their job, they have to get tested all the time. They ended up pulling out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we would have hit the 128. Just me and Noah, and I know I think 3 SoCal guys and 2 guys from Canada that dropped out all for the same reason.
Do you think that that's a post lockdown, that would have been our post lockdown bounce back? Do you think it's sustainable though? I don't know if it's sustainable through time.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to talk about LVO today, but we're also going to talk about Stormtide today.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that first. So
Yeah.
Mr. Shalansky.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah. Tell us about Stormtide. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So I'm sure, a lot of you who listen know about it and have been wondering what's this all about and what are these crazy guys doing. So, we are shipping out box 6 this week, which has been 6 months, which I'm packaging as season 1. So we've completed season 1 and everybody who has been supporting us, thank you so much. It's been great. And what I'm really excited about is, we're spending season 1 introducing you slowly to our galaxy and our universe. And, really in season 2, we're going to be pulling everybody into it full on. In season 1, we've kind of led them through a series of missions that have all been, they're similarly to how the Legion is played now, to kind of get you warmed up. And as season 1 went on, we've transitioned those players into a little bit more chaotic playing and new experiences. As you know, John and Kyle do a lot of our proofreading for us, and as they've seen and asked me multiple questions on all the rules and things that we're doing, because it's new and exciting. And so, you know, basically narrative wise, this planet showed up in the galaxy. The two ships go to see what this planet's all about and save these scientists. And as you start digging into this planet, there's these local monsters that end up attacking, and you know, you've got to fight them. And our big conclusion is coming up for season 1. And the reason I keep saying that is because we're 6 months in. So like if you were to do a catch up box subscription that we had, you'd have to get all 5 and then we'd send you 6. So you'd have to like get all 6 and then try to get through all of those to then move on to 7. And so what I've done is designed a kind of like a jumping in point for new players. So if you haven't gotten into Stormtide and you haven't played it all, and that 6 box is a big chunk, which I completely understand, we are starting with box 7. Season 2 is going to be like a soft reboot where people can now jump in, and if you haven't had the chance yet. So yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I'm really excited too. So, you know, in this first bunch of boxes, you got a commander, and we have multiple skill trees that you can take your commander on, and how you want to lead your forces and how you want them to operate in the field. And then moving into 7, what we're going to do is we're actually going to reset. You can, you know, if for those new players, they can come in and they'll have commanders and a skill tree that they can jump on. But we're also introducing operatives with skill trees now as well. And so I don't mind spoiling it, but basically you're gonna have 3 operative choices. They're unlike the commanders, you can kind of like start on one skill tree and then you can jump to another one if you want, and you know, and go down that one. With the operatives, you're going to have to just kind of pick one and stick on it, because one of the operatives is a Jedi, or you know, a space monk, and you know, the next one is a bounty hunter, which, hey, non-trademarkable. And then the last one is a hero type. So, you know, you're going to have a lot of options on how you can build out your operative, and really turn them into something cool. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And you'll also be able to, if you wanted to start a new commander, you can do that. Or for new players, they'll be able to do commanders, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And yeah, it's really exciting. We're actually going to be putting, I'll spoil this too. So in box 7, we're going to be putting 4 minis in there. So you'll have 4 different options for your commander and operative. Also, you know, I don't know that we've talked about this enough, but you know, we really, really like when people use their own minis. You know, we've seen a lot on the Discord. So we have a Discord sub channel on the Legion Discord, and a lot of people have been like substituting, you know, whatever homebrew stuff that they have going on, or some character that means a lot to them, and they've been substituting them in, and that's completely acceptable. And really, we're going to try leaning more into that here as we enter this new season, and just encouraging homebrew and you know, substituting whatever we do for whatever you have. Like I think somebody for the monsters, they bought 40K, like, oh god, what did they buy, like the Nurgles or something, and they were going to put those in for for the monsters, which is completely acceptable and awesome, you know. So I think that's, you know, I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is because it's so hard, especially when you go to tournaments and stuff, and the world of, you know, Star Wars is so iconic that like trying to throw other stuff in there sometimes doesn't feel right. And so I'm hoping that by like bringing you to this new world and this new kind of universe, that people feel more comfortable like adding in some of their favorite minis from other games, or you know, doing homebrew stuff, or making, you know, buying stuff from Jordan off of his you know, page, and printing your own minis. And you know, hopefully people do more of that, because I think that's part of the best part about doing mini games is all the customization and cool funky stuff that you get to do.
Is there anything like what's different about the gameplay from season 1 to season 2?
Yeah, so season 1, we were kind of leading you down a path just to get you warmed up and understand how we were doing stuff. So in season 2, there's going to be a lot more kind of choice. And so instead of being more of a linear path, you're going to be able to choose kind of which way you're going into the story, and how you accomplish the tasks ahead of you. I don't want to give too much away of what happens because box 6 hasn't come out yet, but something happens at the end of box 6 that both teams are going to have to try to sort out and figure out. There's going to be a lot of different options to do that. And so hopefully if I do it right, you'll be able to, instead of linear finding this kind of path that we've laid out for you, it's going to be more of a sandbox mode where, you can, if you want to go do this, you could do that. If you want to do this side quest, you can do that. There's going to be some more, options for the players to kind of create their own world and how they're going to move through it. It's taking a lot of, of its beats off of like RPGs and stuff, and trying to like have them be part of the world and the story. And with that, at the end of every mission, we have a QR tag that you scan, and there's a form and you can fill out what happened in your battle. And a lot of people have been asking us, hey, I've been filling these out. Like, what's going on? Like, what does this do? What does this affect? And in box 6 here, we had that free mission for Rising Tide, the war on Rigel 4. And you're going to see the ramifications of that in box 6. And then in box 7, which is season 2, you're going to see the ramifications from the first couple boxes as well. And so as these ships, the Hurricane and the Inferno, as they battle it out, and we have winners and losers and who did what in each area, you're going to see some ramifications of that in the story. So it's hard, right? Because individually it can be a drop in the bucket, but the more you do well for your ship, and the more the Hurricane does well or the Inferno does well, that's going to affect the game moving forward. And ideally in a way that's not like, we don't want to like handicap anyone because, let's say the Inferno is doing really bad. We don't want to give the Hurricane all these bonuses where they're just continually doing well. So there's a balance to it, but you're definitely going to see, some of the ramifications of that and answers to that as the story progresses.
Sounds exciting.
It is. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to moving into season 2. Hopefully getting newer players on. We've had a great base so far, and we've had a ton of people, and they've been very supportive. But yeah, so season 2 is really going to kick off our world, and then in addition, starting probably towards the end of Q2, we're actually going to start having like store kits. And you're going to be able to, we've had a number of stores reach out to us about doing Stormtide events at their store and how that would work. And so we're going to be developing narrative events for the store level as well. And so, these stores ideally would be able to get these kits from us and run Stormtide narrative events, not just for people who have been, investing in the box sets, but, for new people who maybe don't want to play competitive Legion all the time, or maybe are new to Legion and they just want to play because they like Star Wars and they just want some fun way to play it outside of the, tournaments and stuff. And so that's what we're really, really looking forward to doing. So I got a bunch of days scheduled at a local store. We're going to be doing some previews and game testing there of the store kits, which I'm really excited about, and in talks with some other stores that have all reached out and want to do them as well. So, hopefully soon we'll be spreading those out. So, if you're listening and you play Stormtide, and you want to do something at your local store, just, reach out, and we'd love to talk to them about, what we're doing and how we're going to move forward.
Yeah, I think that's super exciting because that's one thing. Well, I'm not jealous of the rule set of games like 40K because I recently met a few defectors who came to Legion because they're unhappy about the rule set. One thing that they do have is these really cool narrative events and different things built. And so that's something I've always been interested in, right? I think many of us have seen these at the cons where they have these huge tables with 40K stuff, and they're like, oh, these are the demons of Slanesh fighting the Ultramarines here, and the winner of this is going to determine, how many reinforcements that table gets. Oh, and by the way, these are the factions playing because yesterday all this happened. And so, that's something that's been missing in Legion for the most part at events and stores. And so I think it's exciting that we're starting to have that.
Yeah, I mean, really at the end of the day, as much as I love the competitive side of Legion, I really am, I've always wanted this, right? Like what we're building is the thing I've always wanted to do and to play. And so I'm really excited about it. And a lot of what we've done is kind of borrow off of what Legion's done already. And the setups and the board. And I'm really excited, especially starting in box 7, that there's going to be some game modes that are completely new and are not like how you would typically do a Legion game. And so I'm hoping people really dig that too. So I'll say this, I'm taking some of my thoughts on this off of Kill Team. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Because I think Kill Team is, if anybody hasn't played it, Kill Team is really good. And it's kind of what you think of a little bit when you think about Star Wars, right? Because if you watch The Mandalorian or even Book of Boba Fett, right, you've got all these hero types that are fighting in these battles, either against no names or against other hero types, right? And it's all about these hero battles, and you don't always get to see those in Legion just because of how we build lists and how, Kyle, we've been saying this from the beginning of the podcast, like you don't run a lightsaber user at another lightsaber user, right? It's just not what you do because it's not the most effective thing to do with that unit. And I think that's missing out of Legion, right? And so hopefully we can bring stuff like that, like hero battles and, these little side quests and stuff like that, that'll still use the rule set of Legion, but kind of like add on to the different types of battles that you can do and explore your units a little bit better.
Awesome. Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
You said that's like Q2 roughly?
So store stuff will be Q2. Yeah. And then, mid-February to the end of February is when the new box comes out. So if you're new, if you haven't signed up for Stormtide yet, you can go to stormtide.thefifthtrooper.com, and we have our season 2 monthly subscription is up right now. For those of you that have been part of it and have already signed up, you're still good. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to continue going, and you'll get box 7 when it comes out. So nothing changes for you. You just keep moving on. But for anybody who wants to start fresh and doesn't want to buy 6 boxes worth, you can get in here in February and just start at box 7. You're going to miss some of the story and some of the cool stuff, that everybody got from the first 6 boxes, but it shouldn't hinder you to play, because ideally, if you get box 7 with a friend, they haven't played Stormtide either, so neither of you will be up on the other person. That's the nice thing about Stormtide too, is when we're working on balance, you're just playing the other person. So as long as they have access to the same stuff you do, we can get really creative and we can throw all kinds of stuff in there, right? Because you don't have to go to your local store and try to play somebody with the Stormtide stuff and hope it's balanced against all the other stuff that's out there, right? It's just you and your buddy playing, or maybe you and 3 other people playing, but whatever it is, you all have access to the same stuff. So that's the nice thing too. And, we're hoping to make that the same as the store narrative events too, right? So that everybody is kind of going to have access to similar stuff, so that it's more about the story and the campaign and having fun than it is about like, oh, I got some, super weapon that I'm going to go ahead and like start tabling people with.
No Death Star.
No Death Star, no. That would be a cool car though.
Yeah. All right.
One pip.
Everybody dies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we pivot in the other direction and talk LVO?
Yeah.
So, John, you and Lucas are both going to LVO, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm super jealous.
Very hype.
Just want to remind everybody, this is an audio podcast, so you are going to have to talk more.
Yes, Lucas, you do have to use words.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and need you guys to talk.
You couldn't see the metal horns through the camera over audio.
Nope.
No.
Ready to rock
Nope.
and roll.
So this is, a lot of people are kind of getting back into the tournament scene slowly, or will be doing so over the next year, hopefully. So we're going to kind of focus this around like tournament prep. And by that, I don't mean picking a list, because we talk on this podcast a lot about meta, and, we've done numerous episodes about how to put lists together and prepare for a tournament in that way. I mean, like physically putting your stuff in cases, getting your cards together, flying on a plane with miniatures, etc. And then also, like, once you're there, how do you take care of your stuff and yourself? So we're going to kind of focus around that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to start with you, John, because I know that you have why don't you tell us, like, how do you store your stuff when you fly to tournaments?
Yeah.
Because it seems like you go to every single tournament that exists.
Yeah, I'm gonna start falling off from that, but I've been to a lot this last year. Only beaten out by, I think, Al Paz and Ryan Slowoski for competitive tournament attendance. But if I can
those
get this to
dudes
show,
literally go to everything. God.
they do.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've got a box that I'm gonna try to see if it. I might have to turn
Your
off this
background.
virtual background.
Yeah.
Let's see. Virtual background. You're gonna see
You
how
looked
messy
and sounded like my dad there when he tries to do stuff on the computer. Let's see.
What do you want me? I don't
Is
even
this
know how to
thing
turn
on?
that thing off.
Oh,
I see it.
Come
I
on,
guess I could get
Grandpa.
mine too.
Oh, do you want to tell me how to turn it off?
Yeah. It's
How do I
really
turn it
easy.
off?
Where it says stop video, hit the little up arrow, then go to choose
I'm there.
virtual background,
I'm there.
then go to none.
I don't see none. Now I see none. Ha. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now you see my messy office, but this
Yep.
is the box.
So for
So
those
it's-
of you at home, it looks like kind of like a briefcase, suitcase almost. It's got the Rebel symbol on it. Looks like it's like a wood veneer with a handle and a over the shoulder strap. Yep.
Okay. This box I've had for, I think, 4 years now. But it is my favorite thing in the world. So you've got these pull-out trays that are magnetic.
Mm.
So you could bring like easily 2 armies worth of minis here. In addition, like I've got empty space here, and then I keep dice in, or that's like not the dice, but this one will have dice and everything I play with, and then like setup stuff.
Yeah, so for everybody at home again, it looks kind of like a miniature shelf that you would have in your house. And it's got like these pull-out drawers on the one side at the bottom on the left-hand side, and it's got basically 2 sections. And he's got all these shelves in there that look like they're magnetized, and all the units or minis are actually standing upright, magnetized to the base, and he can just slide them in and out of this wooden briefcase that he has.
I travel with it like this. I've flown maybe 7 times with this, and it just sits in between my feet. And then I even take this to the tournament because it's super easy to pull out. my army will normally consist of 2 trays. I'll pull those 2 out on the table, set this underneath the table, and then like I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's really good. What I did, so when I fly, I have a battle foam bag. And what I do is I just saran wrap the foam. So I put the minis in and then I just wrap saran wrap around it. And then they don't bounce, or, if they do bounce a little bit, they don't fall out. And then I just basically put that same thing, like it's the size of like a carry-on suitcase or a backpack. So you could put it underneath the seat in front of you if you're flying JetBlue, because they got awesome foot space. Or you could put it in the overhead, and it's usually pretty safe.
So my case, if anyone's wanting one of these, is from Frontier Wargaming. But A case also makes a similar sized case that has pull-out trays that are magnetic, and Battle Foam. Their Magna racks now have like slide out trays, and they have a couple sizes of those. So if you're looking for magnetic, like storage / transport tournament options, like those 3 are great.
And then what I would do is you can go to like Harbor Freight, and they'll have these earth magnets in these little like things, and they're like super cheap, and you get like 20 in a little, it's almost like a pill. It looks like a pill bottle, but it's earth magnets, and you just super glue those to the bottom of your base, and off you go.
I will
Get them
say
on eBay too.
Yeah, or KJ Magnetics is where I normally go. They have all the options. But when you're picking out magnets, I would get a weaker magnet than you think you need.
Yeah.
It does not take much to keep a mini on that tray, but if you do too strong, then it'll rip off eventually.
Well,
and then it's annoying. And
my
then
favorite thing that happens is they start like spinning around each other, and then they like collapse like a neutron star on each other. And that's a good one.
Yeah, that's not fun either.
No.
Yeah. And then if you want to do the broke man's option, you can't afford the fancy battle foam. What I have here is in what is this? 11 by 8.5, like paper holder.
Yeah.
And it's like just deep enough. You can get these things at Staples for like $8. And then what you do is it's the size of a piece of paper. So you buy a magnetic sheet that's piece of paper sized. That's like for fridge magnets. You just peel off the back, slap it in the bottom, and you put the rare earth magnets, and you got this little guy. And the great part about this is if you do have one of the battle foam big old things, or in my case, I have tabletop tyrant. It's just a foam bag. When I'm at tournaments, I hate pulling stuff in and out of foam, and I like the magnets. 8.5 by 11 is like the same size as most standard foam trays. So what I do is if I'm going to fly somewhere, I put them in the foam for safekeeping in case it bumps around. And then once I get to my hotel or whatever, you just pop them in this tray, and then it's the exact same size. So you just put it in there. And saves you $1 on the super expensive battle foam magnet racks. They're like $200.
Lucas, look at you. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm just balling on that student budget, so I gotta afford to buy my minis, so I can't be buying fancy battle foam.
Yeah, all us guys with jobs, right?
I'm out here grinding, trying to get my degree.
I mean, that's a super good, simple, easy, cheap magnetic solution. People are always asking about magnetic storage. You can just make your own.
Yeah.
And
like I said, total cost for magnetic sheets and this thing is like $15, and then you just got to get magnets to the bottom. Like they said, for like $10, you can get a ton.
Yep.
And like this little 8.5 by 11, this is more than a full army in here, and so you can fit most things. Like I got some dewbacks in the bottom, and they're still fit in this little tray, so you can get pretty big models in there too. And then I don't have it on hand, but they have the exact same trays, same cutout that are taller. So like I have my ATST and one that's just a deeper version, and they stack so it fits in your bag and everything.
You hear that, Jay?
ATST.
I heard ATST. What?
You said you put. Do you still put magnets on the bottom?
Yeah. So this is a magnet sheet, right? So that's why I can hold it. My dewbacks are sliding around as I say that. But all my other dudes are magnetized down. The dewbacks are just a little heavy.
So one thing too you can do, because I have a similar situation which I can pull out in a second with magnetic sheets, but I actually just use washers, metal washers. It's just enough metal that it'll stick to the magnetic sheet without holding too much. Yeah. And
Yeah, I do
these are
both.
also super cheap. You can just, go to Home Depot and get like a box of 100 washers, and then just super glue them to the bottom of your dudes. And then it also makes them not fall over on the table, which is helpful.
Weighted minis up for the table is amazing.
Yep, very
Especially
nice.
with the new everything being on sprues, right? Some of these, I know like that battleship
Lighter,
Wookiee
yeah.
is doing like a deep lunge but weighs nothing. So
Yep.
putting a washer will stand that sucker up.
Yeah. As we get more tactical rocks and stuff where you get like
Yeah.
minis leaning off their base.
Or I think everything that's been previewed, Darth Maul, Old Man, Boba Fett, everyone's doing a lean nowadays.
Yep. Yeah, I have a similar setup to you, Lucas, where it's just magnetic sheets. Mine is actually built into a case. I got this I think it was at Historicon years ago, probably like 6 to 8 years ago, from some random vendor. But you can just make something like this probably yourself. It's just literally magnetic sheets glued to the inside of trays like you have. So
Yeah, or if you don't want to do the sheets, a common one I see is baking trays. And a lot of baking trays will have like a plastic cover, right? So that when you make your cupcakes, you can put this lid on, protect your cupcakes. But it turns out cupcakes like the exact same height as our minis. So you can stick your minis in there and it even comes with a nice little plastic cover. And all you have to do is make sure that the baking sheet, right, is magnetic.
They had what craft store was it? So I had made these, basically there was these 12-inch by 12-inch by like 5-inch plastic containers like you had, Lucas, right? And I bought those, and what they did was they stack on top of each other and latch. And then I got the at the same craft stores like Hobby Lobby or something, you could buy 12-inch by 12-inch metal sheets. I put that in and then used a rivet gun and just rivet it to the bottom on the 4 corners, and now you have stackable. They're not really good for like airplanes, but for like storage or like bringing them in a car, right? When you're not flying always gets a little dicey because you're not sure exactly what you're gonna expect, right? But
So John, you use magnets for your whole trip, because I know it's fairly common that people who even use magnetic trays will toss them in foam for planes because they're worried they'll bounce around. But you find that it doesn't jiggle around enough that they get knocked
Never
over.
had a
Anything?
single issue. I keep it upright, as I'm flying, but I've had occasionally where the airport security, despite my best efforts, they'll flip it on its side and whatever as it's going through the x-ray. And I just cringe because not specifically for the magnets, but I have the 2 trays full of stuff or the 2 boxes. And then I open it after and it's all fine. Nothing moved. And the boxes there that I put the dice and tokens in, it's such a close seal that like nothing gets out, not easily. So
yeah, I also
great.
just keep mine on magnets the whole time on the plane, and I haven't really ever had any issues. So, and I flew with T-47s to SoCal, so those things were sticking up in the case.
That would make me nervous. I would be taking them off and like setting them down separate from the stand or something. But
Kyle's
he's a crazy man.
He's got to be crazy in some parts of his life, not all this mathematics. And...
yeah, YOLO.
Yeah, he's all YOLO when it comes to his T-47.
Yeah. So Jay, you mentioned foam. That's do you have like the foam ones where you can pull out the little squares, or are they like pre-shaped?
Yeah, so foam? I hate those, the ones where you pull out the squares, because they're just not good. They don't hold up. So Battle Foam, they basically, I think it's laser cut. They laser cut specifically to, I know that they have shapes specifically for Legion. Like you can get the T-47 ones, you can get the ATST one, though when you build it, it's never the same shape. So they just, they use like a generic shape, and like none of my ATSTs ever fit into it because I'm always doing something wacky with them. but yeah, no, they have the foam, but I get the pre-cut ones because even the generic ones that are for 40K, they're all around the same height that you need them to be. And so they're a stiffer foam too, because when you have the block ones where you have to pull them out, it's a lighter foam so that you can be more, open with
Yeah.
making your own shapes. But yeah, I'm 50-50 on foam. I mean, frankly, when we first started Legion, I was 100% on foam because we were on soft plastic and nothing mattered. I mean, you could literally just throw them in a bucket and it wouldn't
Yeah,
matter.
right.
But now that we're on hard plastic, right now they're a little bit more tricky. And I noticed, like, especially with like sharp corners, like lightsabers or stuff like that, foam
Yeah.
can get a little dicey.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I originally did all foam. But a lot of my guns start getting bent. Like my DLTs all started swinging off to one side a little bit because like my foam, it was pre-cut squares, but it was like just big enough for Legion models. But some heavy guns would kind of stick out over the side, and so when you put another one on top, right, it might be at an angle, and over time that would warp. Same with lightsabers. And then also I just have ones break all the time because I accidentally bump the phone and squish it. And so I found I just basically keep all my models in boxes and then slap a magnet on the bottom. And that way you only need like one magnetic tray, really. I got one big tray for my vehicles and one small tray for my infantry, and bring one or both depending on what I'm playing with. Everything else is just sitting in a box.
How do you guys do your cards and your game components and stuff like that?
So this morning, I actually spent a lot of time doing my cards, and it's mind numbing.
I spent like 2 days doing that over the weekend.
This is upgrades only. So I've got a binder. I finally converted to the binders. I couldn't take it anymore. All those are upgrades. I think it's 16 cards per page, and I'd go like 3 deep, organized by upgrade type, and then who cares after that. And I'm gonna bring this whole thing. It's very small, and the last 2 tournaments I've forgotten a card or 2 and had to borrow, so I'm not doing that this time. Units and command cards will be in the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have all my cards
Go ahead,
similarly
Lucas.
in a binder, but then for day of, I got these little nifty guys.
Yep.
They're, for people who aren't watching the video, they're little, was it Ultimate Guard?
Mm-hmm.
And they have sleeves. One's a standard card size, and then the rest are mini American for all your upgrades. And so these are super handy because you can just toss all your cards in it. They're protected. They're in a place. And then for your game, right, when you play against your opponent, you literally just take these, fan them out across your table. And something not everyone knows is the actual distance of 2 mini American cards is about 6 inches. So if you're playing on a 40K table, putting this on the end is like a measurement of where the actual Legion board starts.
Yep.
So it's a fun little trick. And then this is great because I'm sure we'll touch on this as we go, but part of prepping for LVO and tournaments is it's polite to get all your stuff set up in a timely fashion so that you have as much time to actually play the game. And I find these, for me, having all my cards in these nifty sleeves means I'm not fishing for everything, right? In this case, here's, a Stormtrooper specialist. I got my specialist right there. So when I need to flip that card, it's ready to go and all that. And these things it's just like $10 on Amazon or at your local game store, wherever you can find them, and they're a lifesaver.
Yeah, I do those. If I'm flying, I'll use what Lucas is talking about because they're light and they're easy to use. And then other than that, I store all my stuff in binders. But if I'm going local, I have actual trays, laser cut wood trays, and they've got, Kyle's showing one on the video for those of you who are watching the video, and they're 6 inches. I cut them to 6 inches, and then I put magnets in the 4 corners so they stack and magnetize. And so like when I'm done, I just literally go down the line and go thump 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 thump, and then put them in my bag and walk away.
It is so satisfying to do that. I picked up the same trays from Jay back in Northeast Open.
Yep.
And I take him to every tournament, and it's just like I'll leave all 6 of my core units stacked together because no one cares to see 6 of them. But yeah, just cleaning it up is like that, and people are like,
Yeah, and what I'll do is
Great.
even laser
So
cut
great.
tokens, but the cardboard or laser cut tokens, you put them on the tray. So like with my ATSTs, I'll just put the wounds and the damage and all the tokens right on the tray, and then I just put a tray on top of it, and they lock so that the tokens don't go flying, they can't come out, and that's how I kind of move from table to table. The other thing I do, this is a neat trick too. So like if you've got the foam, what I do is I have I think I have I don't know, it's Ultimate Guard or something dice tray, and it's 6 inches by about 12 inches, and so it fits on like a side on the side of the table, on your long edge. And then I just put that's where I roll my dice during the game. But then when I go to like move to another table, I just put all my minis in that dice tray, and then I just move to the other table. So it's like a dual function, thing, which is really nice too.
Talking about like being expedient and like quick, it's not always necessary to go quick at cleanup, but it does help having magnetic trays, because then as those units die, you could also just put them back on the magnetic tray,
Yep.
and then like your cleanup's
Yep.
already done.
Mm-hmm.
Super helpful. Yeah.
Gets
That
that
was one of the
extra
big
few
things,
minutes
too.
for lunch. And
Yep. Yeah, so I've got those wooden trays, which I already showed. I've also got these super fancy magnetic FMG trays, which are basically the same thing but acrylic, that I stack on top
they're
of my
all
wooden
freaking
trays.
imperial.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
annoying.
This is the
Those all official, right? That's
Yeah.
all the OP stuff.
I think I have like one of them, but it was imperial, so I don't care about it.
so the reason
take it.
that they're imperial is because
Well, you got to
They
win
were-
some games before you get imperial stuff there, Pat.
yeah, these are tournament prizes. Because,
yeah. Well, why
Leave
don't
me
you-
alone.
Why don't you show at a tournament, then we'll talk about what you get.
The reason they're imperial is
The fifth
because
trooper work environment. They just harass you.
you're welcome to make a complaint to our HR department.
1 second,
Ooh,
please.
can I be HR?
Oh, hi, I'm yeah, you know what? Go ahead, Bush. I'll take the day off.
Does remember those names you called me on the last podcast? I do.
Oh, I remember.
I guess there was from one Adepticon to the next, the thing they used to do was like whichever faction performed best at Adepticon would affect like the swag for the next one. So that's why they're Empire. Yeah. RIP. Rebels won on high command, so there should be some like Rebel swag floating out there somewhere.
Who knows?
Who knows where that is?
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
we'll
we
get
had
it this year.
the trophies for the Prime Championships. That was all a rebel officer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So I guess there's
Yeah.
that.
And then what was the other one? They had the bet you got a dice bag or a token bag, and it had
Yep.
I think it had man, that thing sucked.
It's
That
the
was like
crappiest dice bag I've ever
It-
It's so bad.
and it was like the logo was
Faded
glitter. It was like
right
glitter
away.
logo, and it
Yeah.
just like I put it in my bag. I'm like, oh, all right. I put it in my bag. I get home and like everything's glitter, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah. What about tokens?
Tackle box, baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or the little screw and bits holder. Go to any local hardware store. They're like $2 to $5, and these things are amazing.
Yep.
You don't
Wanna
even have
go
to get
down
a
to the
giant
remove-
one. You can get little ones, and you can fit plenty of tokens.
I like to
in
go
there.
even lower profile than that, just fewer things on the table.
Yep.
This is plenty of stuff for what I do, at least. And you could find all sizes at like Hobby Lobby or
Yeah. If you get one of the bigger ones with removable little bits on here, like mine, you can fit all your movement tools in there too. So if you can see, I just pulled out all the dividers in the bottom row. And so I got all my dice and range rulers and movement tools and whatnot there as well.
So when I've used that kind with the removable dividers, I've had issues with stuff sliding underneath. So if I ever went back to those, I would highly recommend like hot gluing the bottom of it
Yep.
to seal that gap.
So
Good.
I went a little bit bigger. So let me I gotta shut off my. So this is it's a little bit bigger, but what I like about it, even for like traveling, I also put some vinyl on there of the cover from Legion.
Very nice.
Is it snaps really tight. The other thing is these can stack too. So you can put another one of these. So like if you have like you have different ones for different armies, like if and then it's really like, even though it's got the dividers, they're very like, this is a much like hardier dividing system, and then you can shut it down and it's got a little handle, like a little briefcase. And so it's just a neat way of holding everything a little bit. But I think I got that at like Walmart or something, but yeah, I think, I think what we're trying to express to everybody, right, is that there's a lot of different options out there, but like literally just going to your local department store like Walmart or Target or whatever, you can go, they have craft aisles, they have hardware aisles. You don't even have to go to like a hardware store. Like if you live somewhere remote like I do, the closest hardware store is a little ways. So, but there's a Walmart everywhere, right? And so we just go to Walmart and they've got tons of little trays and tackle boxes and
A lot of like
boxes.
jewelry boxes. Too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, be organized, I think, is the TLDR.
Yeah.
Both for you, but also for your opponent, so you can be courteous. You don't want to be the dude who's like got a stack of cards and you're like laying them out on the table,
Yeah.
in advance of the game, fumbling with your dice and your tokens and stuff in the middle of the game. So,
And I'll say I'm a new convert to this, which is being organized all of the time.
Yep.
And so I never was, and you guys can go listen to the Fifth Trooper and hear Evan like die inside every time I show him like my box of cards. I just threw stuff in and I'd be like, we go to play a game. I'm like, I don't know, Vader's in there somewhere, figure it out. But I recently just completely organized all my cards and binders, even my Stormtide stuff. It changed my life. I'm not an organized person. I'm an artist. And so everything is unorganized in my life. But oh my gosh, did it change my life? Like I went to play my son the other day and I was like, hey, yeah, here, take a look through this beautiful binder of cards. Like, what do you want to play? And there's Luke. We'll get him out and then we'll put that back. I mean, yeah, it's because now I know, like, for instance, Canto Bite is coming up in February that John and I are going to be at. And, I'm really excited for that. And I think I just settled on a list, but now I know where everything is and I don't have to like stress about trying to find wherever that card is or stress about trying to find my cool command cards that I have of the generics, those full arts with the aerobrush at the top. Yeah. And so, being organized all of the time with your cards and your minis is a real good idea because I've done both just recently. I'm not preaching because I've been terrible at it. Like literally everything was just thrown into boxes. And I've recently got all my minis on the one shelf. They're all together with the right units and everything. And it feels a lot better when it's not like I don't feel stressed when someone wants to play a game of Legion. I'm just like, oh yeah, I could do that. No problem.
Well, and like generic life lesson on top of that, in case it hasn't clicked yet, if you stay on top of it, then you don't have to keep doing it.
Yep.
It's a huge pain to organize it the first time. But if you keep it organized, like it's easy to keep it organized.
Right.
It is not easy to reorganize it after you've let it go for 6 months.
Or 3 years. Yeah. Because the first time it took me like 2 days almost to do it. And now it takes like 5 minutes to put the cards back. Right. So that, and listen, for people at home, I struggle with that on a daily basis. So, I'm just trying to be much better at doing that,
Yeah. If you want to go full OCD, I have similarly to John, showed up at an event and realized I left like my order tokens or something at home. I have a checklist on my phone in my notes app that before any event, I just go through my notes app line by line, make sure I have it all.
Legit, that is not a bad idea. I should do that.
It takes little to no effort to type up, 8 lines or probably even less. It's like you got your models, you got your lists printed, you got your dice tokens, cards.
Just give your brain a break and like,
yeah. So I got a little checklist that for myself I go through whenever I leave. Yeah.
I'll use it this week.
Yeah, for me, other than my the actual miniatures, I permanently store all of my stuff that I need, my dice, my tokens, all that stuff in my carrying travel case. So like I can't forget it because it's already in there.
Same. I have
so
the old Legion Discord order tokens, and then now I got some Fifth Trooper ones, but I always leave the Legion Discord ones in there permanently in case I forget to grab my correct ones. Because I find order tokens is the thing that I always forget. Like it's
I
always
bring
like
2
command
sets.
cards. Yeah. So I always have just like a full set of order tokens sitting in my bag just in case I forget.
Yep. Yeah, I had a similar renaissance to you, Jay, just this past weekend. We had some
Oh.
family in town to help out with the kids, so I was like, I'm taking this weekend to organize my house, which included taking all of my Legion stuff, which basically occupied, 60% of my basement, and organizing it and consolidating it. And now it's like a 6x3 area, basically. I punched out all my old tokens. I have a giant Tupperware container of token punch outs from all the extra Legion boxes I had lying around.
I refuse to punch those out. So many.
It felt so
I do
good.
them all as soon as they come in.
Yeah. That's what I do now. When I get a new box, I punch them straight into that Tupperware container. I take the cards, I sleeve them, I put them in my card storage thing.
Yep.
And I take the miniatures and I put them in a drawer where all my other miniatures are, if I'm not going to immediately assemble them. So, and then I throw the box away.
Here's a window into my
Really?
insanity.
Really, Kyle? Really?
I know that I have boxes
Is
here in
that
my
what you do,
background.
Kyle? Is that what you do?
These boxes in the background I have not opened these yet. The plastic is still on these. So
You've been caught red-handed.
Yeah.
Lecture me. I see at least 6 or 7 boxes back there.
these are all unopened.
That AA5's been around for a while though.
It has.
There's
They
like a
serve- they
stacks
serve
of
a-
boxes behind that one too. Like this is
They serve a cosmetic purpose. It's background. I feel this lat actually right here. This has a personal note on it, written in permanent marker, like on the plastic.
Oh.
And I feel kind of weird like opening it. And also the lats are kind of bad right now, so I don't feel like a rush to open the box and paint it. But yeah. Anyway, while we're on the subject of gaming aids, there's one more thing I would recommend people get, which is this bad boy. This is a line laser.
Jeez, that is huge.
Yeah, this is a unnecessarily powerful one. You can see it on my shirt here. I'm not going to shine it at the camera because that wouldn't be helpful. But yeah, you can get a cheap one at just if you go to like Harbor Freight or something like that. You can get the Army Painter ones online. Those are pretty cost effective. Yeah, that's what you have there, John. I like the actual like construction tool ones that you can get at Harbor Freight because they make an X instead of just a line, so you can use them for like firing arcs and stuff. I have one of those too somewhere in my garage that I've used for Legion. And you can get those for like $20 or less. So, but really useful for checking cover lines and stuff like that. Yeah. Any quick hits on like once you're there, what do you actually do to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Eat.
You first, Luke.
I was just gonna say, eat a lot of food. It's gonna be a mistake you make once. I did this at a all-day Magic tournament that I went to. You want to eat a big old meal before you play because during your games, the last thing you want to be doing is having your stomach grumbling, and then have lots of water. Same thing with dehydration, right? You're probably gonna be standing all day. Most cons don't have a chair there, and so you want to be hydrated, want to be fed. And so I always get like a thing of like Cliff Bars, and then I got these reusable water bottles, and I toss just multiple of them in my bag. So over the course of the day, I could be plenty hydrated. Because right, the last thing you want to be doing is fighting your body while you're up there. You just want to be full and happy. So I typically like eat a ton. So I'm here in Southern California, so we got this sweet fast food joint called Del Taco. It's my favorite. Got like dollar burritos, and I just load up on like 3 $1 egg breakfast burritos and just shove them down the throat, feel kind of bloated, but then you're like good to go for the day.
Yeah, that was God, I don't even know how long ago now. Maybe a couple of years ago, we had a guest blog writer that was a doctor or something out of Australia, Dr. Nick, and he wrote this great article saying that if you're going to do these tournaments, that like a really good breakfast, like lots of like proteins and carbs and stuff was good. And then
healthy fats like avocados and eggs.
Yep.
And
then he said also like Gatorade, or I don't know, he had some ingredients for a homemade electrolyte drink that had like Himalayan salt or some, I don't remember, that was a while ago, but it was pretty cool. I tried it once, it was good. And so hydration, food, you nailed two of them. One thing I highly recommend and that changed my life was like a really good pair of sneakers, like something that's really, really comfortable, because you don't really think about it, but you're gonna be on your feet for like at least 12 hours, most likely for 2 to 3 days in a row.
Yes.
So making sure you have some really comfortable sneakers that got like them. These aren't like for running, right? These are for standing. So you want those ones with those really thick pads on the bottom, like you're walking on clouds. That's the kind you want. Like, man, I first tournament I ever went to, I wore like Converse or something, and literally it was I was like rough for like 4 days afterwards, right? And then I went and got these really nice really thick soled shoes and sneakers, and man, I never went back. Those things so comfortable, and I've never had problems since. So that's a big one.
And this might show my age here, but if you have weird shaped feet, go to a podiatrist and get custom insoles. That's something that like I didn't even know was a thing until after I turned 30. And then I was like, man, my feet hurt. Why do my feet hurt? And then I went to a podiatrist and he's like, because you have weird shaped feet and you need custom insoles. And I'm like, how come I've never realized this before? And he's like, because you're old now.
There's there is a shoe store out here that they actually, the one I went to them once, and I've never like gone to another place. They actually do scans of your feet, and you like do walking tests, and they like monitor it all, and then they're like, okay, here's your custom made shoe that should be just for you with the right foam insert and all this stuff. Oh my god, it's like,
yeah, do that.
It's the best amount of money I've ever spent in my entire life. Like it, and
Yeah, you should
this
be able
is
to find
outside
one.
of Legion.
Yeah,
Like seriously, do yourself a favor. You're gonna be like, that's a lot of money, but then realize you're on these things all the time, and then your whole body will thank you. Like having like sneakers with nice insoles and all that stuff. Oh my god, it changed my life. Sorry,
Yep.
That's a real roundabout way of saying wear comfortable footwear. I recommend having like a cardigan or a hoodie, something you could take on and off, because it's going to probably be cold, air conditioning in some places and hot in others. And it's never the same at any tournament ever. And so always be ready for weather changes indoors. It's temperature changes. It's just crazy. Trying to think what else. This one is they're going to tell you have a lunch break at most tournaments. Okay, they're going to tell you it's around an hour. It's going to end up being about 40 minutes, and there's nothing going to be close to where you are, and so it'll take you the entire 40 minutes to just go even find food, let alone sit and eat. So
plan that ahead of time.
Yeah, either plan it ahead of time, or like Lucas said, load up on breakfast. And then what I do is I'll bring like, I know Kyle loves the Cliff bars, but I'll bring like the protein bars that they have. Like those are really good. And just bring a couple of those, some snacks, some drinks, and just don't even go to lunch.
Or if you have a buddy, like a buddy or two that finishes their first round early and gets an early lunch, then like work out ahead of time. Hey, like I'll go get food for us or whatever.
Yep.
Teamwork.
Like it's much shorter than you realize. Like I think somebody maybe it was Nathan, John tried to convince me to go to some store during lunch at LVO. And I was like, okay. And oh man, that was such a bad idea. That break is not long enough.
No,
I feel like
lunch-
TOs have been getting wiser about that. 'Cause the last few I feel like I've had decent lunch times.
Well, I think what happens is the TO, and it's not their fault. They have a really good concept in their head, and they're like, okay, to make the time for the day and make this comfortable for everybody, we're going to plan an hour lunch. That should be enough. But then what happens is games start going over, and it's
Yeah.
like a domino effect, and then they usually use the lunch to try to catch themselves back up a little bit, and it's part of the game. It's just part of going to these tournaments.
Well, and John, I think, the last few tournaments you've been to and I've been to have been the frontline tournaments where it's 3 rounds per day. So I think they've spaced them out a little better
3
than like
rounds, much better.
Oh
than
my
4
gosh.
rounds.
Yeah,
so much better.
yeah, agreed.
Night and day. 4 rounds a day is
Tough.
rough. Like it's doable.
It is. Sucks.
3 rounds is better. You get a
Yeah.
longer lunch. You end with enough time to like go out to dinner and hang out with people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this weekend is 3 rounds, 3 rounds, and 2
Yep.
rounds.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those 4 round days are like that's it. That's what you're doing that day is that.
Yep.
Right. Nothing else. So
Yeah, 'cause it's nice having a bit of time after, like you said, to meet up with people and hang out. It's like a lot of these people,
Decompress.
right? You know each other just from Discord or different things, and so it's cool to finally get to hang out.
Yep.
Have a little time.
I think
to
there's
relax.
even supposed to be like an organized social event this weekend that I haven't registered for or whatever.
that's awesome. I'll be
Yeah,
honest. We're going to Adepticon, so I think I've said this before, but we'll talk about it again. But we have a booth at Adepticon, and we're going to be there. And because of the booth and everything, I'm not going to be playing. I'm kind of looking forward to it. As much as I love playing, I'm kind of looking forward to being able to go to a friggin' trade, like one of these shows, without having to like play a game the entire day, like where I can like actually look around and see what's going on and talk to people and hobnob. And I'm looking forward to that, hobnobbing.
It's nice to have time to hobnob.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
John, how much you hobnob? You hobnob
I
enough?
don't even know what you're talking about.
rubbing elbows.
I don't know what these
I
words
don't think I'm
are.
too young to know what hobnobbing means.
Yeah.
Yeah, yakking.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, before we stray too far from the preparing yourself for the tournament, I do want to add my 2 cents. They all hit on pretty much everything I wanted to. But one last thing is if you have weeks or months to prepare for a tournament, let this motivate you to work out, to go even as little as a daily walk.
Yeah.
Any amount of regular exercise will do wonders for preparing your body for a tournament.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it.
Standing all day burns a lot of calories.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have an option to, like, if you're in an office environment, consider, even if you can't get like a fancy standing desk, which tend to be kind of expensive, set up a situation where you can stand for some period of the day and work. I have a
It's
standing
called a
desk at work.
cardboard
I love
box.
it. Yeah, exactly. Just put a cardboard box under your computer
Yeah.
screen.
Most places are using laptops, right? You just get a big
Yeah.
cardboard box, you put your laptop up on it, and you just stand there and work.
Yep.
You don't need $500. It's like just go to the shipping department and get yourself a box. You'll be all right.
Yep.
Yeah, and while you're playing, try to be especially conscious of your posture. This is something I kind of learned hard. So I played Magic originally, so you're sitting for most of it, so posture wasn't something. Then my first all-day Legion tournament, I didn't realize how much I was leaning over the table and looking for long periods of time. And so now I make a conscious effort where it's like stand up straight, roll my dice. The only time I'm bending over is to move stuff and measure. So in
Yep.
between turns, just focusing on standing up straight and having good posture for me goes a long way in helping with all those aches.
And this
Yeah.
is coming from like a 22-year-old?
Not that young, I'm 27.
Wait, you
Okay.
16, 15?
Okay.
What do you?
I do. I'm in research and computer science. Work at a desk all day. I had to get a
Okay.
ergonomic mouse because my carpal tunnel, man.
Oh,
Look at this guy.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Hey,
is
I
hardcore.
have a recommendation for event managers. You know what you guys should do? There's these things, they're like these little triangles that you can get, and you can put tables on top of them so that they raise the table up like 4 to 5 inches. I had them here. We played Legion here with those. Dude, we didn't have to bend over once.
You
Like
put them
the-
under the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it brings
Yeah,
the
I've
table
seen
up. It's
those.
oh man, it's the best, and they're not that
it's really
expensive.
nice.
They're like
Yeah.
little pieces of plastic.
I think that they're used a lot for like when you're in dorm rooms to raise your bed to get storage. Like I had a few for that.
Yeah,
And so yeah, they're only a couple bucks. You can get them at most convenience stores.
Yeah, if you're throwing an event, do everyone a favor. Raise the tables up with those things. It's like 5 to 6 inches. It'll change everyone's life. I guarantee it.
All right. Any other words of wisdom?
Win.
Don't let us down,
fun.
boys.
Pressure's on.
This is going to be
I did
factored into your
settle.
Yeah.
performance reviews.
For every
Oh.
person you beat, I want you guys to say Jay Shalansky says hello after you beat him, and then just walk
Sick.
away.
Will I be getting a quarterly bonus if I go far and able to get those 5th trooper tokens on the stream?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, you'll get a bonus if you can even
Okay.
pretend to be half the
Oh,
competitive
wow.
Empire player you say you are.
Oh man.
I never said I was. I
The
never.
smack talk. Holy
Jay, one day
crap.
we're gonna have an in-person event, and I'm gonna destroy you, and I will not apologize.
You know,
Oof.
everyone talks real tough until an ATST and Dubacks are chomping down their lines. So we'll see.
I'll see you in Canto Bite.
Yeah, you will. Oh, I hope we get top table at Canto. Oh, that would be amazing. I want the whole world to know how wrong you are.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'm
Well,
getting them
simmer
ready
down,
for the
simmer down.
tournament. You gotta get them talking a little
We'll,
crap.
we'll have a pre-Canto Bite episode.
Hey, you come on over here anytime, buddy. I got a table waiting.
Okay. Okay.
It's a long drive.
I mean, he's gonna be up here.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. All right. TLDR, we're all counting on you. Don't let us down.
Yeah.
All right.
Do my best.
All right.
Yeah, I got
we
nowhere
the-
but up after SoCal, so
There you go. All right. Well, we are the Notorious Scoundrels of Kyle.
I'm Jay.
John Bushfax Bushman.
I'm Lucas.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.